Charmander, I'm pretty sure I've told you this already, but even if I wanted to, there is no Pokemon Let's Go Charmander version. Welcome everyone, this is Just Restart, and in this video we're going to be talking about Pokemon Let's Go and my early on impressions of the game, but also how I feel like some mechanics that are being used in this game could be very beneficial for the future of Pokemon. Now for those that are worried, the only gameplay we're going to be using goes up to around the first gym of the game, so if you're worried about spoilers, there won't be too many of them. And for all the Let's Go haters out there, I just want to say that I'm right there with you when it comes to having the more core-oriented aspects from traditional Pokemon back in Generation 8. But that said, there are some really cool changes in Let's Go that I think are really interesting, and some aspects to them could be carried over into future Pokemon games that might make them better as well. So first off, I just want to say that I think this game is beautiful. The graphical style, while simplistic, is very colorful, very bright, and very crisp. Never have I seen Pokemon look so clear before, and that to me alone is really exciting, because I'm really used to playing Pokemon games on the 3DS or the 2DS or the DS or the Game Boy, and those are all kind of blurry and pixely by comparison. This looks incredibly sharp, and that alone is really exciting to see for Pokemon. But another really cool thing about Pokemon Let's Go is that to me it seems like there's been a lot of really nice quality of life changes. The menus are very slick, they're very sharp, they're very simplistic and easy to access and use, and you also have immediate access to every single Pokemon in your library. You don't have to go to a Pokemon Center, go to a PC box to access all of your extra Pokemon that aren't in your party. You have access to them at all times, and that's really useful, and that makes things a lot less stressful and repetitive, and overall makes the game a lot better for it. So let's talk about the catching mechanic, because overall that's where most of the changes are coming from, and where some of the really cool aspects of this game are being used that personally are kind of exciting me for what could potentially be used in future Pokemon games. Now I'm not saying that I want Game Freak to do away with wild Pokemon battles forever, but this catching mechanic is actually a lot better than you might think. You can catch Pokemon in docked mode by using a throwing motion with your Joy-Con, and in portable mode you can either move around a control stick or angle your Switch and just press the A button, and that works just as well. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's kind of fun to sort of aim and time when to throw the Pokeballs. It's a bit of a satisfying experience, especially when you can get a nice, great, or excellent catch. They kind of offer its own perks as well, and it overall just offers a bit more variety to the gameplay, and I think it's kind of a fun little minigame that you're going to be doing a lot. And the reason you're going to be doing a lot is because you're going to be using this mechanic to catch as many Pokemon as you can, and the way it's been done, it's a lot quicker to catch Pokemon now because you're not doing wild battles anymore and you're just doing a quick throw now to catch up a Pokemon. It's a lot quicker, and you're just going to be getting a lot more Pokemon. You have a lot more Pokeballs, and everything is done a lot better when it comes to catching Pokemon very quickly, and I actually think this is very beneficial when it comes to collecting Pokemon themselves. As a longtime Pokemon fan, I've never really been one to try and actually collect them all, but in Pokemon Let's Go, because of how fast it is and how Pokemon are sort of roaming around the actual overworld, it's a lot more compelling for me to actually try and catch every single one. And I actually want to touch on that aspect of how Pokemon are roaming around the overworld now. I hope that definitely stays. That's just kind of a cool thing to see. It makes the world seem more organic and real, and that alone makes it really interesting to me. But also it kind of adds to the gameplay as well, because while there may no longer be random encounters, you still get another kind of sense of excitement when you see a particular rare Pokemon that you're looking for come out. For example, I saw both a Bulbasaur and a Charmander in the wild, and that made me scream in enjoyment because we've never actually seen starters in the wild before, and that alone is kind of a lot more realistic, and I feel like that's always should have been a thing, but now it is, and that to me is really, really cool. But just this idea of seeing Pokemon actually roaming around, giving you the ability to pick and choose which Pokemon you want to catch or avoid, that's really cool. And there's also something that's really cool about seeing those blue or red sparks that sort of revolve around particular Pokemon that suggest whether they are big or small. That actually offers more variety for the kind of Pokemon that you can see in the overworld, and give even more reason to catch those particular Pokemon, because that will help you fill up more facets of your Pokedex. Now here's the thing that kind of really excites me about this catching mechanic. It's not only the fact that the way it's all done, it sort of encourages you to actually try and collect them all and get all different kinds of Pokemon, but also the act of catching all these different kinds of Pokemon helps you to raise your Pokemon in various different ways that I think has some really strong implications for how you actually build a Pokemon team, and the way you build a Pokemon team could definitely be really important for competitive players as well, those kinds of players that prefer the more traditional style of Pokemon, and maybe some of these elements could be carried over into future games. So what am I referring to exactly? Well, as you're catching all these different kinds of Pokemon, you're getting candies, and this game, candies can be used to actually increase your Pokemon stats. They're basically effort value training, which is an important aspect of training up your Pokemon and focusing their strengths in particular stats. But you're going to be getting so many different Pokemon that your actual box of Pokemon will be getting filled very, very quickly. But here's the thing, you can actually transfer over a whole bunch of Pokemon in mass that you don't need anymore and exchange them for even more candies. And these candies are really useful for building particular strengths and different kinds of stats that you want for your team. But also what's really cool, since you're actually catching all these various kinds of Pokemon, you're also going to be getting so many Pokemon that you're bound to get the right nature for each particular species that you want as well. So that's another element that makes it even easier to build your team. But there's another aspect that's really cool. So certain kinds of Pokemon yield certain kind of candies that focus on one particular stat when you exchange them. So if you're actually trying to focus and get a particular kind of candy to focus on, let's say, building up speed or attack, you're going to focus on one kind of Pokemon in a particular area. And when you do that, you're going to find yourself just catching one particular species of Pokemon. And when you just catch one species of Pokemon in succession without catching any other kind, you start building up a catch combo. And as you build up the catch combo, you are more likely to get a shiny Pokemon. But as you catch more and more of the same Pokemon in a row, the actual stats for each particular Pokemon you catch get better and better as the higher and higher the chain combo is, until you're actually maxing out the individual values for each particular Pokemon. Now, for those who don't know, individual values are another stat that Pokemon have that kind of separate itself from different Pokemon of its species. So as you extend that chain combo, you are way more likely to get a much better Pokemon than you would if you were just to catch any other random wild Pokemon. So basically what I'm trying to say is that all these different mechanics are sort of coming together to really be carefully woven and to make the experience of Pokemon Let's Go a lot more seamless, a lot quicker, a lot less repetitive, and it sort of takes away from that whole grinding experience that a lot of RPGs kind of suffer from. But in Pokemon Let's Go, it all flows so very, very well. And I really love the idea of being able to catch Pokemon so quickly in mass like this. I hope they somehow find a way to carry this over while also still giving us a lot of different ways to battle Pokemon in Generation 8, along with those deeper, more sophisticated battle mechanics. Because with all these easier ways to train up and pick out your actual Pokemon team, this makes the competitive aspect of Pokemon a lot better as well, and a lot more people are going to be able to build a lot more teams in a much more fun, much more intuitive, much faster kind of way, and I think that's just going to make future Pokemon games a lot better. Now, I'm not 100% sure how they're going to utilize all of this in the future. I've just sort of jumped into the game right now, but I'm having a really good time with it, and I can't wait to sink my teeth even deeper into this game, because so far I've had a really good time, and I can't wait to fully experience Pokemon Let's Go. But those are my thoughts on Pokemon Let's Go so far, and how some of the mechanics could be beneficial for the future of Pokemon. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think some of these mechanics could actually carry over into future Pokemon games? Let me know what you guys think. But anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.